getting the sense that we're closer and closer to the beast system. We're edging closer and closer to a new world order, where there'll be basically two classes of citizens. And in citizens, I mean global citizens. There'll be the superiors and the inferiors. The superiors will be the rulers, the titans of industry, the people who own the tech and all the mineral rights and such. And the inferiors will be everybody else. And everybody else will be living to work for and serve the interests of the superiors. And the system will be set up such that you will not be having any opportunity to grow into the higher class, because every kind of labor you express out here, you'll be paid in tokens. Your entire labor for value chain will be summarized into tokens. You'll be getting tokens for your medical, tokens for food, tokens for your housing and such and such. So at the end of the month, when you're getting paid, you'll be paid in tokens. And this is why I think that there are 5 scenarios I've been considering, especially looking at global politics, that convince me we're edging closer and closer to the new world order. Help me keep track. Number 1, recently, about 3-4 months ago, 3 European states, they ratified an agreement that basically says there are no domestic waters. All ocean waters are international waters. And that goes against the UN agreement that basically ended the Second World War. One of the agreements that was in the Second World War was there is a range apart from the country where it's considered domestic waters, and international ships cannot dock without the permission of the nation. And so those countries are basically saying they can come and park their warships on your coast, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's one. Number 2 is what is happening in Gaza. There's a constant rhetoric of not all lives matter, not all lives cost the same. Basically, they're saying there's nothing like sanctity of life. As long as I am more powerful than you are, then I can willy-nilly handle you the way I choose to. Just as long as I have the support of the people who have the power. So basically what we're seeing is a death to human rights. Slowly by slowly, human rights are disappearing. The third issue I am considering is what happened in the United States on 8th September. There was a Supreme Court ruling that basically it has made it legal in the United States to be arrested on suspicion. They have basically restored racial profiling as a means of policing in the United States. And that is suspect, and it has flown really under the radar because people have been distracted by what happened with the API new rules that says now black has to, like when you're writing about black people, you have to capitalize black. Black is now a proper noun in the United States. Basically, anyone of any American citizen of African ancestry, now they have come up with their own race that says they are black. Yeah. So they have added to whatever we were learning in school about races and ancestry. Now they have added to European, African, Asian. Now they have added black. And I think, you know, in a situation where you correct to the point where you have overcorrected, they're basically going back to the place where this word, and this word mean the same thing. So basically they're back to where they started when they're fighting in those days of Jim Crow and human rights and fighting against segregation. They have corrected to the point where they have overcorrected and the system has reset itself. That's number 3, yeah. Number 4 is what is happening in Ukraine. You realize that NATO and the European Union are basically playing Russian roulette with the lives of Ukrainians. Because what is happening there has nothing to do with what is right, what is wrong. They're looking for opportunity to attack Russia. All of them are just itching to attack Russia and push the boundaries. Because if you can get access through the Black Sea and across Russia, then you can easily fly your machines through that strait and into Asia and the Arab countries without having to go all the way around on the other side. So that is also, in a way, signaling to a military-industrial complex that is getting strengthened, because it's got to the point where lives don't matter as much as profit. They can justify loss of lives as long as there's profit, because the military-industrial complex is one thing that makes a lot of money, and it also, when you're speaking about things like climate change and global warming, it contributes almost like 25% to global warming. But no one wants to have that conversation. And then finally, the 5th thing is what happened the day before yesterday, the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk in the United States. And the sentiments that are coming from the left and the right, you realize for finally they've got to the point in their society where violent extremism is encouraged. Just as long as you're acting against the opposite party, because there's so many people, politicians, people who have a voice in society, people who are viewed as thought leaders. The ones on the left are celebrating the heinous crime, and the ones on the right are using it as an excuse to come up with more stringent laws against. Basically what I want to say is that they finally have an excuse to reintroduce racism. Not just reintroduce it, institutionalize racism. Because now this is going to open a window to all the conversations that they have been having about transgender rights. The left are going to use this to continue pushing for transgender rights globally. They're going to use this to introduce the conversation about age of consent. There have been talks in the United States about lowering it to the age of 14. So basically they're saying, kama unapenda watoto, it's about to be legal. And it's kind of funny because on this continent they're fighting child marriages. On their continent they're fighting to encourage it. On this continent they're fighting to end it. On their continent they're fighting to encourage it. So it's all those things, they make you realize that things like human rights really cannot be guaranteed. That's the first thing I'm reading from that whole conversation. And number two, we have lost objective morality and objective realities. They have kind of disappeared. And what happens to a society that has lost objective morality and objective realities, it's either it disintegrates or they introduce a new rule. If people cannot agree on an issue and they have to be ruled, then you introduce control. And that's what happens, and what I think is going to be the new world order. Because now they will have to introduce control into the human population. And I think they've already started it with the things that are happening in the world. With now they are taking away social funding and things like that. All of those things are just introducing control because people cannot agree on morality and reality objectively. Yeah, so that's the conversation I want us to have. I don't know if I'm overreacting, but I have been feeling quite heavy today because all those things coming up in my mind, and I'm realizing, especially here on the African continent, we are so focused on wasichana ni mkorogo. Now vulana, they are fantasizing about being women. So we have our priorities twisted. Because when they're coming for the weak, we'll be the weak. Because we have not gathered any kind of strength. So let's have this conversation. I don't know. Let's keep having these conversations.